Welcome to our show, Obsessed, where we talk about cryptids, mythology, folklore, and whatever else we're currently obsessed with. I'm Caitlin Palmer.
And I'm Clay.
And we're
Obsessed.
Hey everybody, we are back to our regularly scheduled programming. Sometimes things happen.
I'm tired of things happening.
Yeah, things need to just lay off. You know, they say God only gives his biggest battles to his strongest warriors. Well, he is overestimating me a lot.
My body hurts.
Yeah, mine too.
We had to destroy the floor of our shed in order to free our fattest dog.
Yeah, so we have this little shed outside, and she chased a possum underneath. I don't know how her big old head, much less her whole body.
She compressed herself.
She did.
Like how a rat does.
Yeah, like down to nothing, chasing this poor little possum under there. Got stuck. Clay had to come home from work to help tear up the floor in the shed to get her ass out. The possum has perished. She did win that battle.
The possum was destroyed. And it had 8 babies in its pouch. So the rest of my day was spent trying to find someone to take these damn little babies, little marsupial babies. But we found a place, and they're fine. I hope. Everything worked out, but boy, it was a sweaty, rough day. Yeah, it sucked.
It was bad. And I don't know about you, but I said a lot of ugly words. And you know what my mama says when I say a lot of ugly words? I need to go to confession. Well, I'm not going to do that. But
take that, Catholicism.
But well, I'm not willing to go to confession, okay? But I am willing to go pretty much anywhere but here. Now, you know where I would love to go back, where my heart is. My heart is in New England. But since we can't do that right now.
Wasn't your last topic on New England?
It was. But we're going to a different place today. I'd rather be anywhere besides the Deep South. Even if that means going west.
Oh, okay. So not New England.
Not New England. New Mexico.
Old England. Oh, okay.
We're going to New Mexico. Today's episode takes us to the enchanting landscape of New Mexico, a.k.a. the Land of Enchantment.
Is that what it's known for?
It is. That's actually what it's called, the Land of Enchantment.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. A land rich with culture, spirit, and stories that blur the line between fact and folklore. At the heart of our journey is the awe-inspiring staircase at Loretto Chapel.
Okay, all right. I was wondering because I was like, is she doing like the Roswell crashes or something? I think that was in New Mexico or maybe Arizona.
Yeah.
But you're not. We're
doing the inspiring staircase at Loretto Chapel, a spiral work of craftsmanship that defies the laws of physics. According to legend, the sisters of Loretto prayed to Saint Joseph for a solution to their architectural dilemma, and the mysterious carpenter appeared, built the staircase, and vanished without a trace.
Now, is Saint Joseph like Joseph and Mary Joseph?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
There was a lot of Josephuses.
So many believe it was Saint Joseph who built the staircase himself, which makes it not just a mystery, but perhaps even a miracle. I want you to know when my family was over the other day and they were talking about the staircase at Loretto Chapel, I was like, oh, I'm doing a whole topic on that. But
is that when you decided to do it?
No, I'd already done it all. I did all my research already.
I call that, was it synchronicity? No, that's not right.
I don't know. Serendipity? It sounds good, but I don't feel like that's right
either.
either.
Works.
But settle in, because whether you believe in miracles, marvels, or mysteries, today's story will leave you with more questions than answers, and a sense of awe that might linger. So before we get into it, we have to look at it. There's 3 mysteries that surround the staircase.
Okay.
Mystery number 1. No one knows who the carpenter was. Seriously, no name, no record, no receipts. He showed up out of nowhere, built a staircase that would stump modern engineers, and vanished. It's like a holy version of a mic drop.
I held up my hands to stop my wife from speaking so that I could say something, and she reached across the table and held my hand and kept reading.
Don't interrupt me. No, we're going to talk about both sides. We're not here to say, oh, this is definitely a miracle. It was definitely St. Joseph.
we're looking at it analytically.
Okay, then I'll hold... Are we doing that section right now? The no one knows who did it?
Kind of. We're just talking about the three mysteries right now. I'm going to tell you the story of the staircase and how it came to be, what we think it is, blah, blah, blah. But right now we're just looking at the little mysteries that surround it.
All right, then I'll hold my comments.
Hold your comments. Mystery number 2. Architects, engineers, and physics professors have scratched their heads for over a century trying to figure out how this thing even stands. There's no central pole, no visible support, just a perfectly coiled staircase balancing like it's defying gravity. I'd sooner buy
You can't sing.
gravity. One does not say defying gravity without singing defying gravity. Some say it shouldn't even be possible. Mystery number 3. What kind of wood was used to build the staircase? It doesn't grow anywhere in the American Southwest. They've tested it, researched it, and double-checked the lumber yards. Nothing. It's a type of spruce, but that's all we know about it. And here's the kicker, the part that makes believers lean in and skeptics squirm. The staircase has exactly 33 steps. The same age of Jesus Christ when he died. Coincidence? Maybe.
I'd say probably.
Maybe. But for many, it's just one more reason to believe there was no ordinary construction job. So we're going to go back in time, Clay. We're going back in the Wayback Machine. We're going all the way back to 1850. That was the Wild West era of New Mexico. New Mexico wasn't even a state yet and wouldn't be for another 60-something years.
I mean, it's part of the area that's referred to as the final frontier, right? I
think so, yeah. Well, that same year, 1850, the Catholic Church officially set up shop, as they do. They officially set up shop in the region with the creation of the Vicariate of New Mexico, led by the very first bishop of the territory, Jean-Baptiste Lamy. And Bishop Lamy had a vision. He wanted to make sure young girls in the territory had a chance at a proper education. So he sent out a call to Catholic teaching orders asking for help, and the Sisters of Loretto answered. 6 women packed up, crossed rugged terrain, learned Spanish to serve the local community, and faced great hardship, including the heartbreaking loss of their mother superior along the way. But in 1853, they arrived in Santa Fe, and they opened the Loretto Academy. So it was a school first.
Right.
But who were the Sisters of Loretto, and why did they come to New Mexico? Well, before their journey to New Mexico, the Sisters of Loretto called Kentucky home. So they went all the way from Kentucky all the way to New Mexico. If nothing else, you have to cross all of Texas.
Yeah, you got to cross all of Texas. I'm trying to think, is New Mexico on the other side of the Rockies or not?
That I don't know.
I don't know if the Rockies cut that off or not. I mean, either way, this is the 1850s, so they weren't in cars.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So this probably took months.
Yeah, oh gosh, definitely. So the Sisters of Loretto were founded in 1812. They opened their very first academy in Nearix, Kentucky. From there, their mission grew, leading them westward as they established schools throughout Missouri and Kansas before eventually making their way to the Southwest. The Sisters of Loretto make public vows of poverty, chastity, aka celibacy, and obedience. Very, very nun-like. Fast forward to the years 1873, and the sisters had saved up enough to begin building a chapel on the school grounds. They used the same architect and builders behind the great St. Francis Cathedral Basilica nearby. The result? A stunning Gothic-style church, modeled after Saint Chapelle in Paris, a little slice of Europe, dropped right in the middle of Adobe, New Mexico. So, you know, they're in a whole different place. They went from Appalachia to New Mexico.
Yeah. Which
is a beautiful place, by the way.
Appalachia or New Mexico?
Yes. Especially Appalachia. I went to a conference in New Mexico a couple years ago, and it was right up the road. Loretto Chapel was right up the road. We walked there. So why does this chapel stand out? By today's Catholic Church standards, it's pretty small and humble, but for the time, it was a big deal. So picture a dramatic European church rising above tiny adobe homes. It must have looked like something out of a dream. But then came a big problem. The architect died before designing a staircase to access the choir loft. They had been using an unreliable ladder until then. The loft was high and the chapel was small. A typical staircase would have taken up too much room, which is not ideal when you're trying to fit worshipers in the pews. There was originally a father-son. Their names were Antoine and Projectus Mole.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know, Projectus.
The Antoine is so normal, and then there's Projectus.
Antoine and Projectus. And they were carpenters, and they were originally working on the staircase. But Antoine, so that's the dad, he had some eye issues, and he had to leave early. So Projectus stayed behind to work on the staircase, but then he passed away. So the work remained undone.
Yeah, Anton's only got one eye. So he's got to take care of it. The one eye.
That's in the name Antoine. Who is she? You have a secret family.
To be making these dad jokes?
To be making these dad jokes. So the sisters did what they did best. They prayed. So for 9 straight days, they said a novena, which is a special series of prayers to Saint Joseph, who's the patron saint of carpenters. Because remember, Jesus was a carpenter.
Right.
And his foster dad, because God's his real father, so his foster father, Joseph, taught him carpentry. And on the final day of the novena, so a novena is a 9-day prayer. You say it every day for 9 days.
Okay.
And it's for an intention.
Right.
So, like, they're looking for a staircase. So every day for 9 days, they say this prayer with the intention of a staircase. In my Catholic days, I used to pray the novena to St. Joseph often. I know it very well. I have it saved in my Kindle. It's supposed to be the novena that never fails. It did. But not for the sisters.
You can't just end on a dark note like that.
It did. It did. But on the final day of the sisters' 9-day novena to St. Joseph, a workman appeared at the chapel gates, leading a burro loaded with carpentry tools. No fanfare, no name, just a quiet confidence and a simple offer. With your permission, sisters, I believe I can solve your problem. All I need is a couple of tubs of water. The sisters agreed, and soon tubs appeared outside the chapel with planks of wood soaking inside. Every day, while the nuns went to pray, the mysterious man would quietly disappear. And when the chapel was empty again, he'd return to his work, always alone, always silent. Now, some say the staircase went up in a flash, almost overnight. Others insist it took weeks, maybe longer. But however long it took, one thing is certain. The staircase rose into the air like something out of a fairy tale, a perfect double helix spiraling towards the choir loft. No nails, no screws, no visible means of support. And it even took up barely any floor space at all. In fact, instead of crowding the chapel, it seemed to make the space even more beautiful. The sisters were overjoyed. They planned a lovely dinner to thank the carpenter who had solved the unsolvable. But he was gone. Just gone. No one saw him leave. No one knew his name. The local lumber yards had no record of anyone buying wood for a project. No bills, no delivery slips. And when experts came to examine the staircase, they couldn't even identify the wood. It wasn't from anywhere around here. Ads were placed in the New Mexican asking for the man to come forward. Silence. And so the faithful said what many still believe to this day. Surely it was St. Joseph who built the stairs. With nothing but a hammer, a carpenter's square, and no name, he built a masterpiece. What he left behind was, and still is, a marvel. The spiral staircase he built makes 2 full 360-degree turns and has no central pole. It's held together with wooden pegs, no nails, and somehow it works. The entire weight rests on the bottom step. No one knows where the wood came from. It's not native to the Southwest. All we know is that it's some kind of spruce, which alone is weird because typically a carpenter would have used oak or pine. And once the staircase was complete, the carpenter vanished without ever being paid or thanked. Some stories say the mysterious stranger completed the staircase overnight. Others say it took a substantially longer time, but all the stories agree that the carpenter accepted no money for his work. To this day, the origin of the staircase and the man who built it remains unsolved. Some say it was St. Joseph. Yes, that St. Joseph. Others believe he sent someone in his place. But everyone agrees it's nothing short of extraordinary. About 10 years later, banisters were added. The original staircase didn't have any, making it safer to climb. In the mid-20th century, a couple of small metal brackets were added to try and stabilize it. Ironically, those fixes actually damaged it by restricting the staircase's natural flexibility. But here's the fun detail. The bottom of the staircase was originally open, but later someone filled it in with a mixture of horsehair and lime, and then painted it to look like wood. Why? Maybe to make it look solid, or maybe just to tidy things up. So, why is the staircase so mysterious? There's no central support. There's no known builder. It's a rare wood. It's still standing. Springy, elegant, and awe-inspiring. So that's the miracle theory. That's what many faithful people believe. They believe it was St. Joseph, that this is truly a miraculous staircase. I mean, and that's a beautiful story that the patron saint of carpentry answered a 9-day novena and did it himself and built the perfect staircase. It's very small. Loretto Chapel is very, very small. I got to go there, went to a conference in New Mexico several years ago, and it was right up the road from La Posada where we were staying, which is also haunted, by the way. But it was just a little walk away. And it's so tiny, like I said, by comparison of today's Catholic churches, because we're used to like the huge, grandiose. It's very small. It's very humble. It's beautiful. It is a very, very lovely church. But let's take a step back and let's be a little more skeptical, because that's what we do here. And scientific, because where there's a mystery, there's usually someone with a measuring tape and a physics degree that's ready to investigate.
Like I said, I don't know enough about physics. I assume there is a way to balance a staircase in that manner, because I've seen some pretty crazy stuff done.
Sure.
With your general weight distribution, fulcrums, blah, blah, blah. But I don't know.
Right? I'm not a carpenter and I'm not a physic. I want you to know I keep trying to say psychic. Every time I see the word physic, I want to say psychic. And it's not a psychic.
So a person who works in physics is a physic?
They're physics.
Physics.
I guess. I don't know. I don't know, man. But let's start with the staircase itself. While it's undeniably beautiful, it wasn't exactly OSHA approved back in the day. Originally, the staircase had no railing at all. So it was literally just a spiral.
Right, yeah.
You know, it was just a curl.
A set of steps.
Exactly, in a really, like, 2 full circles. Which made this steep descent pretty terrifying, so much that some of the sisters crawled on their hands and knees rather than risk slipping. A few years later, another carpenter, we do know this one, his name was Philip August Hesch, added a railing and making the climb far less of a leap of faith. But that elegant spiral, it wasn't just stylish, it was springy. Literally, because of the double helix design, the staircase acted like a giant wooden spring, bouncing lightly as people walked up and down. For years, visitors reported feeling the staircase move beneath them. It's one of the reasons public access to it has been cut off for decades now. Officially for preservation, though skeptics like investigator Joe Nichols have pointed out it might be just a little too wobbly for comfort.
I mean, that's fair.
Well, then there's the idea that this staircase is some kind of engineering impossibility. The story goes that scientists and engineers say they can't understand how it stands without central support. But according to wood technologist Forrest N. Easley, if your name is Forrest, you have to be a wood person.
Wood technologist.
A wood technologist, yes. And an easel is made out of wood too, so Forrest Easley.
Oh.
So, I mean, obviously.
An easel doesn't have to be made out of wood.
For our intents and purposes, it does, clay.
Okay.
But he says that's not exactly true. You don't necessarily have to have a central support.
But in fact, there is a central support, a tightly curved inner stringer of wood that acts like a solid core. Think of it like a spiral backbone.
Okay.
Plus, Nichols spotted another modern addition during a visit in the 1990s, an iron bracket that anchors the staircase to a nearby column, giving it extra stability. So as Nichol put it, this miraculous marvel, quote, appears to be subject to the laws of physics like anything else. And what about that mysterious wood? Because we don't know where the wood came from. Well, the legend says it's an unknown variety not found anywhere in the Southwest. And that's kind of true. It's spruce, but there are 10 different types of spruce in North America. And without a large enough sample, scientists can't say for sure where this batch came from. So rare? Yeah, sure, maybe. Unidentifiable? Not really.
Unidentifiable only because they won't let us identify.
And yes, it was built without nails or glue, but that wasn't unheard of at the time. In the 1800s, nails could have been expensive or hard to come by, especially in remote territories like New Mexico.
Yeah, back then nails had to be, each one had to be hand forged.
Right.
Which is a long and grueling process.
Right, and imagine how many nails it would take.
Right, nails were not cheap, so it does make sense that they would use wooden pegs.
Sure. So carpenters had all kinds of clever joinery techniques up their sleeves. And in the end, there's nothing about the design or construction of the Loretto staircase that definitively proves it's miraculous. While it's certainly a remarkable piece of craftsmanship, experts agree it can be explained by traditional building techniques and physics.
Sure, talking about like not having the central support, but actually there is one, it's just a spiral support that goes up, is very cool and probably helped stabilize it a bit more because it would, if you put too much weight on one side, it would bend more instead of tilting over and falling. So
it takes up so much less room, and it's like I said, it's small. You know, it's not like Catholic churches we're used to.
Right.
I mean, it's a little, very humble, very sweet chapel.
So that is very, I mean, intelligently built.
Right. Oh gosh, yeah. So that said, the chapel and its famous staircase are now part of a privately owned museum that operates as a for-profit attraction. And when there's a compelling story involved, especially one that draws visitors from around the world, it's easy to see why the legend of its mysterious origins continues to be lovingly preserved. After all, mystery makes a great marketing tool.
Wait, it's for profit? They don't donate any of that?
You have to, so when I went, like you pay a small donation to go in.
Okay.
And then they have this massive bookstore that's way bigger than the chapel. So
gotta love capitalism.
Gotta love it. And you know, it's like any other, if you've ever been in a church bookstore. I mean, they have like books and rosaries and stuff. I got a magnet. I got my dad a rosary. I got mom a little book about Loretto Chapel. But I mean, they be making some money off of it.
Sure, yeah.
It is beautiful. You know, you walk in and there is a reverence. It is an ancient, beautiful building in what is now Santa Fe, New Mexico. You know, it's freaking busy. There's people everywhere. There's like little markets right up the road. I mean, it's a tourist place.
Sure.
You know, but you don't mind paying because it is a museum. It goes into preservation.
Yeah. I'm sure a lot of what they make goes into, you know, paying for the land that they're on, obviously, because they're going to get taxed. Well, if they're not like an official operating church, they'd still have to pay taxes.
I don't know. I believe maybe they do have mass there. They did have the tabernacle, which if you're not Catholic, that's where the host or the body of Christ, aka the cracker, is kept. I did revert completely back to my Catholic ways. I genuflected in front of the Eucharist. I paid the donation to light candles. I used to always light 2 candles every time we would go to a Catholic church. One was for my dog Brandon, don't laugh at me, I'll come at you. And the other one was for my aunt that I loved so dearly. So I did that. And for me, it was a beautiful spiritual experience.
Yeah, sure.
But
yeah, I know they're making money because I'm not Catholic, and I have heard of this friggin' staircase from across the country.
My parents dream of going. So, like, when we were in Santa Fe, walking distance from it, I was like, I have to go.
Right, yeah, you gotta go.
I have to go.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I hope they take the excess money and, I don't know, maybe help somebody with it.
I hope they do. I really don't know. I didn't look too much into it. But, I mean, it was tourist prices.
I'm so old and cynical now. Like,
Me too. Me too.
I'm just like, it's going right in the pocket, ain't it?
Yeah.
Right in one person's pocket.
Sure. So picture like a tiny church and the staircase is kind of back in a corner because it went up to the choir loft.
Sure, yeah.
But it's corded off.
I was going to say, it's the main draw of this location, but it was not the main draw of the church.
Right. There were people...
It was meant to just be for accessibility.
Right. Well, I mean, there's pews. There were people sitting. There were people praying. There was the staircase, and the staircase is cordoned off, which I totally understand because people like me, like, I want to touch it.
Well, it's wood.
It's wood.
It's wood, and that's going to deteriorate, especially through use. So if there are people touching it and walking on it and shit, then it's going to get all messed up.
And, people would start trying to take a little piece of it.
Of course, yeah. They're going to, scratch around for a loose splinter to take home.
Sure.
They're going to kiss it and stuff. And just, the human body, for one, is good at breaking things down.
Right.
That's kind of like most of what we do is breaking things down through saliva, through touch, through oil, whatever. And then you apply that to something you literally walk on. You know what I mean? So, yeah, no, it was...
I tried. I was very close to it, and I was like, I think if I, duck a little bit, I can reach under and touch it.
Of course. And then imagine the 100 other people that were there that
day
that had that exact same thought.
And I was with my friend. I didn't get permission to use her name, but I was like, cover me. But then there were a whole bunch of people, and I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to be the first person to get thrown out of a church. And it would be me. It's beautiful. I don't know necessarily that St. Joseph built it, but I love that story.
Yeah.
That's a beautiful story. That's very fun. And I believe...
And it's not impossible for a person to have come and built this staircase for this church and then left without accepting payment.
Absolutely. It was a miracle either way.
Sure, yeah.
I mean... Whether it was truly St. Joseph
people
or just
knew
some
they needed a
wonderful
staircase
person.
because they were obviously had been shopping around for carpenters to build the thing.
Right.
So people knew that it existed. The timing of it is fantastic. After the end of 9 days, this person shows up, builds it, leaves without, getting compensation for it. Basically, effectively donates his time and material to the church. And that is wonderful.
Yeah.
A miracle can be something that's not unexplainable.
Right.
It can just be something that's nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there was a man named Tim Carter who is a master craftsman of today. And of the Loretto staircase, he said, "It's a magnificent work of art that humbles me as a master carpenter. To create a staircase like this using modern tools would be a feat. It's mind-boggling to think about what constructing such a marvel with crude tools, no electricity, and minimal resources."
Yeah.
It's a marvel and it's a work of art, whether or not St. Joseph built it.
Yeah, I will always be impressed at the human race for being able to create things with little knowledge or tools or assistance in any way. I mean, people talk about the pyramids and how impossible that must have been to build, but everything. We're surrounded by things that it's crazy to think that we one day figured out how to just do this.
Yeah.
I look at glass. Mm-hmm. Take sand and you heat it up to a super high temperature and you get this material that you can completely see through.
If you just abandoned me out in the wilderness and were like, fend for yourself, I would just immediately die.
Just instantly die.
Yeah, just like that.
Then you start getting to more complicated, intricate things like a staircase.
Right.
Where you have all of these different parts that have to work together to perform this one function. I understand how a staircase works generally. Maybe not a spiral staircase. That's a little bit above what I'd be able to do. But even then, I mean, God, build one then. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. My brother has a spiral staircase in his house.
Yeah, imagining going up that without any railings, and it also moves a little bit while
Yeah, exactly. It does.
Terrifying.
And it's totally sound, but I mean, just by virtue of being a spiral staircase, it's
spiral staircases are inherently steep.
Yeah.
You're basically climbing a ladder. The ladder just kind of curves around.
Right. But for Loretto Chapel, I mean, if they were to put in a traditional staircase, it would be the entire chapel.
It'd be the whole thing, yeah. That's the other purpose of spiral staircases.
Sure.
They only take up vertical room, not horizontal room.
And another thing I was wondering, because they did submit a piece of the staircase to be studied. Mm-hmm. But like we said, it was such a small piece. The cynic in me wonders, do they not want to identify the kind of spruce because that discounts the miracle, thus leading to less visitors? Possibly.
It's at least a factor.
It has to be.
Right.
But
they don't want to destroy the staircase by giving up a large chunk of it, sure. But also, I don't think anyone's too keen on killing their money cow.
Sure. Sure. But, also, even if the Loretto staircase was just built by some dude, it's brought a lot of people to church, which to many people is a wonderful thing.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, miracles don't have to be some impossible feat.
Right.
A guy showed up at the right time after this 9-day novena, I think is...
Novena, yeah.
I said it right.
Mm-hmm. You did.
The timing was right. He filled a very specific need, and he did it out of generosity. That's a beautiful thing.
It is. That's a very Jesus-like thing.
Yeah.
What if it was Jesus?
You don't have to cure the blind.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Just don't be an asshole.
Yeah. Sometimes it's helping somebody with their bags or holding a door open. Be nice to people.
Nice.
Help people.
Say thank you. Say good morning. Validate others. Be compassionate. Just don't be a turd. And no matter what you believe, and this is not to put down on religion. We are not especially religious people, and that's okay. And if you are, that's okay too. We're just here to talk about the Loretto staircase, how amazing it is, and even my heathen heart was touched.
My heathen heart.
That's my new band name, My Heathen Heart.
I was gonna say, Jesus and Bill and Ted, they can agree on one thing: be excellent to each other.
And on that, we leave you.
Yeah. I was gonna say, if those three can agree on it, then there's got to be some truth to it, right?
Be excellent to each other.
Be excellent to each other. There's some worth there.
There you go.
There's some gold in those words.
What do you think, Clay?
Oh, I was gonna talk about the one point that you brought up earlier about no one knows who built it, and I was like, okay, but like, look at any chair or table in your house. Do you know who built that?
That's true.
Of course you don't. Now, things today are mass-produced and not typically handcrafted, but, I mean, even back in the day, I don't think people looked around there and was like, oh yeah, that was built by so-and-so, and that was built by so-and-so. Like, you'd only take note of that if it was like, they gave it to you as like a gift.
Right.
Like, hey, I'm a woodworker, and I built this table for you. Then you would remember that.
Sure.
But you're not going to go down to the general store and ask where every item came from, typically.
Right.
You can be like, nah, dude, I need salt. I need salt. I don't need to know about who transported it here. I don't need to know about who mined it. I just need the friggin' salt because we don't have refrigerators yet, and I have meat that I need to make sure it doesn't spoil.
And people are like, what are refrigerators?
Right, yeah, the guy at the counter is like, sir, what are you talking about?
And you're like, I'm a time traveler. And then you were executed, and now you're in your next life.
Yep. The life in which I invent time travel and go back.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
To the Old West days for some reason. Why would I want to go there?
It is beautiful, though. It is very, very deserty. And I was so excited.
No, I didn't mean the place. I meant the time. Why would I want to go to the Wild West times where there's like no indoor plumbing, no air conditioning, no...
Yeah, it's all bad.
It's all ass.
It's all bad. But it's a beautiful, beautiful place. New Mexico is lovely. But I didn't get to see the gigantic cacti. And I told my friend, I was like, I'm just letting you know now, when we see a giant cacti, I'm going to ask you to pull over, and you're going to take a picture of me standing by the cacti.
Yeah, see, I would want to, I'd want to see the cactus, the big cactus.
I didn't see any. But I did take a picture with a little plant cactus.
I used cactus singular, like there is a single large
There's
cactus
one
that you will
cactus.
take me to.
It is the great cactor. But you and I will go one day. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. And we'll go to the chapel and we'll give them our little money.
Yeah.
And we'll go be in awe. And then we'll go to the bookstore and spend way too much money.
We'll go look at the cool, super old staircase.
Yeah.
That no one's allowed to touch.
Not supposed to. You know people do.
Yeah, people
I
do.
try.
And that's why we can't have nice things.
That's true. It's because of me. But yeah, if you ever go to New Mexico, stay at La Posada. It's expensive, but it's beautiful and it's haunted.
Allegedly.
No, it's definitely haunted. I was going to talk about it in this episode too, but there ended up being so much about the staircase.
All right, that's fair.
We were going to go to New Mexico and do a 2-for-1, but
do they have empanadas at La Posada? Wait, let me try that again.
Try again.
I'm not going to cut this out. I'm going to leave it. Did they have empanadas at La Posada?
I don't think so.
Did they have tostadas at La Posada?
I don't think there were, no.
No empanadas or tostadas at La Posada?
I'm going to beat your ass off. No, but I did have these beautiful little Wellingtons. They were like corn dog bites, but they were like not beef Wellington, but like a pork Wellington. They were delicious. It was bougie. There was another group there because I was there for a veterinary conference, and then there was another like bachelorette party or something. And there's a company you can hire that brings the beer donkey, and it's an actual donkey, like the animal, and it's got this like beautiful saddle, and there's like beers in it, and they like serve you beer from the donkey.
That whips so much
It's
ass.
awesome. It's amazing. Because we were out there and we were like, it smells like horses. And then we were like, no way. Is that the beer donkey? It was badass is what it was.
The donkey? That makes sense.
It was amazing. Yeah, it was a badass. That was a fun trip. That's where I had my first trip, actually. That's where I tried, because cannabis is legal there. And I hallucinated seeing Vin Diesel. And then it wasn't Vin Diesel.
Yeah, you told me.
It was The Rock. But then it wasn't The Rock. It was some dude.
It was just another bald guy.
It was just another dude. And then I had to go perform, and I was like, oh, God. But what do you think? Tell us in the comments. Have you been to Loretto Chapel?
Do you know where all of your furniture was created?
I don't.
Neither do I. Most of it was probably China.
Almost definitely. All right, well, we will see y'all next time. We're going to try to be back on our good shit, that is posting consistently. Clay, if people want to send us a message bitching at us, where can they email that?
obsessedwiththepalmers@yahoo.com.
And then you can also follow us on our social medias. We've got a Facebook, an Instagram, and we've got a Blue Sky.
Why did you raspberry at the Facebook?
But yeah, Facebook, there's just a lot. Facebook's a lot. You know, if you know, you know. I mean, I can't say much because I'm on it all the time.
Right.
But social media is kind of my job.
That's also fair, I guess.
Sure. We love you. We're proud of you. Whatever you do, do it well. I believe in you. Bye.